It's March the 2nd, 2016, and the Super Tuesday has come and passed. We've seen the Democrats, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. We see the Republicans, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Carson, Kasich, fighting for the Democrats and Republican position for president in 2017. In the Democrat, we see a division. In the Republicans, we see divisions. We see debates about what's a true liberal. To the left and to the right, we see a debate what's considered a true conservative. Each one dog eat dog, fighting the other, trying to come up with definitions to words: liberal, conservative. Each one judging the other, not only on the left and right of the road, but on the left and on the right. And as I watch this, which I have labored to explain, a narrow road, observing left and right, I ask, Father, what is the answer? I've expressed some of the answers he's given me through that series. That goes unheard, or not understood. Think that there isn't another choice. You have a choice, and it's set before you, of two kingdoms, one made with hands, the other not made by hands. A true conservative would be those who would be called this thing the church, which is truly defined as assembly called out of the secular world and its ideas of kingdom. Yet the church has adopted a kingdom mentality which they cannot back by scripture. We can understand the Jewish mentality of a kingdom that they fight for. We see their king and kingdom offered, and then rejecting their king and the kingdom. And this Christ, Jesus, turning to the Gentiles, fulfilling a prophecy that he gave to their father, Abram, and called later Abraham that he'd be a father of many nations. He would have a called out assembly from the secular and the religious world and bring them to a new reality, a perspective and view of a kingdom not made by hands, that was, is, and ever shall be, a kingdom of the continuance. And how this world would be temporal. The days of the Jewish kingdom ended at the rejection of the king and kingdom, and the time of the Gentiles came upon us. And their offer to come up out of their ideas of a kingdom, accept the kingdom that the Son of God offered, and the apostles offered, a kingdom not made by hands. Mystery, hidden. And few finding that kingdom and embracing it. We see a time coming. It's called the time of Jacob's troubles. This will be a final offer to a remnant of Jewish people in a nation that has been established under the ideology of a world and its opinion that will be called up out of that kingdom made by hands. Out of the synagogue of Satan will be a remnant. The debate amongst the Democrats and Republicans was who supported Israel and who did not support Israel. Who were neutral. And each one judging the other. I would support Israel only under the fact that there is a remnant that God will call out, and not that nation we see there before us. It's when this remnant sees their king and mourn the fact that they crucified him, to which we are all guilty of, because he died for us all. They'll embrace their king, and they'll be protected, and there will be 1,000-year reign of their king and kingdom, which God promised. But that is not the kingdom of the continuance that the Jehovah's Witnesses and other groups believe. That kingdom of the continuance will be revealed at the end of that 1,000-year period. And he'll offer what was always offered, a kingdom established before the foundations of this world, and its opinions and ideas, secular and religious ideas of a kingdom. I've labored to put this in writing and put it on YouTube, reading the very articles that I was given to write and warn a church that becomes much part of this world as the world, who preach against the world, the flesh, and the devil, but they're in the world. They're of the flesh, and its views and perspectives that are temporal, taught by the devil himself, cutting them off from our kingdom which God had originally intended that we would be part of an everlasting kingdom. He has subjected this world to futility, allowed death to be introduced to end it, and hope, and drew lines, which will be coming out here in a minute, an article I've written, and hope that we would turn to a kingdom not made with hands. I mean, it's beyond what the secular world might see. It's beyond what a lot of religious people are claiming. It's beyond Islam. It's beyond Buddha. It's beyond New Age thinking, their utopian dreams. Our kingdom has been prepared. I've been told, if you fight for this kingdom, you will die. If you join this kingdom in its battles, left or right, you will die. I've been told to come out and bear his reproach on the straight and narrow road, which many preach, yet don't demonstrate in their lives. It's their duty. I ask you, church, called out assembly, what is your duty? You are to be a representative of a kingdom that's eternal. You could have your churches, you could have your synagogues, you could have your buildings. But when you begin to fight for a building and for things of this temporal world and its idea of kingdom, you quit representing a kingdom not made with hands. There may have been a time to fight, but that time is coming to an end. God draws a line. The time with the Gentiles is coming to an end. God has accomplished what he intended to accomplish after rejection of his son by the Jews and their kingdom and their king being rejected. He's offered to the Gentiles what was promised through our forefather of our faith, Abram, to Abraham, a kingdom not made with hands. God had promised that yet once more he will shake this earth, and every kingdom that's not eternal will be shaken, as he once shook the earth before in the days of Noah. We're in those days, but this time he's not even going to shake the earth, but the very heavens himself. Now here's that piece that I mentioned. God draws the line. The line has been drawn. You must make that decision. God draws the line when enough is enough. When did he do this? This was predetermined, established before the foundations of this world. Acts chapter 17. And he, God, made out of one source. Where's this source at? Things seen did not come about by things which appear, but another reality. Materials. Every nation of mankind to inhabit the entire surface of the earth. Now catch this. Having marked out the limitations of strategic epochal periods of time, which have been appointed, predetermined by the Father, and the fixed boundaries of their occupancy. Why did he do this? He set the boundaries. Russia, China, America, the Arab nations, which we see the battles going on in today. Arab Spring, trying to bring all these kingdoms down to form a whole new world order kingdom, thinking they're playing God. God's just simply using to fulfill what he says here in the book of Acts. Having marked out the limitation of strategic epochal periods of time, which have been appointed, and the fixed boundaries of their occupancy, in order that, reason why God did this, they should be seeking this aforementioned God. If so, then they will grope after him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we derive our life and have motion, as also certain of your poets have said. For of him are we also offspring. Therefore, since we are the offspring of God, made in his image, we are not under moral obligation to be thinking that the aforementioned being possessing divine attributes is like gold or silver or stone, a carved work of art of men's inventions, kingdoms made with the hands of men. They're temporal. They have their limitations, their fixed boundaries to God's original intent. He began this world, he created it, he'll sustain it, put its limitations, and at some point in human history, he will consummate it all. You've seen that consummation today. Now therefore, the times of ignorance God has allowed to pass unnoticed, with reference to the present circumstances. Not also only the writer of this book of Acts, but also in our day. In reference to the present circumstances you see going on in the world today, especially in this area of Syria. He declares to men that everyone, everywhere, should be repenting. We don't like to hear that word. Turn around. Look at the original purpose of God as to why this whole world was even created. And start seeing a kingdom that's not made with hands. Because he appointed a day when he is about to be judging the inhabitants of the earth with an equitable administration of justice by means of a man, Jesus, whom he appointed, furnishing guarantee to all, and that he raised him out from among those who are dead. Might it be that God is using this new world order, much like he used Pilate, guys like Nebuchadnezzar, and Pharaoh of Egypt, at the crucifixion. Now Pilate at the crucifixion of Jesus. saying to him, don't you not have power to crucify and let you go? He says, you have no power but that which comes from above. God has strategic times and purposes. Yet this time, what's happening in our day, it is to wean an apostate church to what it was that Jesus offered. I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am you might be also. We are told that an end-time church, which should be an ecclesia, a called out assembly, will be so caught up in this world to the point that the warning after warning was given to this church age, saying to not be bogged down in the world's cares and affairs and views and perspectives, to be awake and be prepared for that which he had promised. There definitely is a line which God himself has drawn as far as nations are concerned. Their very rising and falling had nothing to do with nothing. There are those that feel they have power to do this, yet we know better. They have no power other than that given to them from above, and is to this above intent that determines just how long, how far they can go. When that line is crossed, it all begins. They're in, and God's ending consummation of this age. The time of the Gentiles is coming to an end. In the beginning of Jacob's troubles, and God dealing once again with the nation of Israel. We see only one more millennium before us, another 1,000-year period. Everything else in the Bible has come true, and that 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth is coming. And things have to occur. We see only one more millennium before us, and one more 1,000 years to this consummation I mentioned. What lies beyond this is this continuation of God's original intent. And I express it in my videos, the kingdom of the continuance, not made by hands. That which was, is, and shall be a world without end. It's there. Real living, I've been told, is a break in continuity. Get in my videos. A break in continuity. From the fall of Adam to the end of this final millennial kingdom, which is only a fulfillment of promises God had made to the Jewish nation. This kingdom age is not God's original intent, as some have said. It's only one more millennium, which will be finished to usher in the ages upon ages. Then this new earth and new heaven, new to us, begins unfolding in uninterrupted ages upon ages, a world which has no end, as we have seen. If what I've said is true, God using this new world order to wean his church, his called out assembly, from this world to another. If this is true, what we as a church are fighting isn't what we may have thought, but may very well be the weaning hand of God. Yet we see many called to expose this evil order, but must also consider what we are fighting. A kingdom made with hands, or a kingdom prepared and yet to come? What are you fighting for? I will fight to the death to promote this kingdom of Christ offered, and the right to proclaim its message. I wonder now if I'd be fighting for this world's idea of a kingdom, what today is called an empire, secular or religious. And you hear the debate of premillennialism, postmillennialism, or no millennial kingdom is the debate you see going on in both camps today. But all are missing that which is beyond. Those things which aren't seen and are eternal, from which we originated from. Though I've been called to touch upon current events from time to time, my sharing them has this end intent and getting us all to focus all the more on the final consummation of this whole age, our coming back with the Son of God, man, as an army to rule this present earth, is only to this end. It'll only be 1,000 years. Age upon age beyond that 1,000 year period. Something which I'm looking forward to. I wrote this back in June the 14th, 2013. In light of what's going on in the world today, here it is, March of 2016. And you see it unfolding today. God is manifesting a truth, a reality, as you look at the debates that's going on with this election, and you see the conservative church, which was to be a called out assembly, joining this world, and many are not even aware of it. They're not even aware of it. They're fighting for a kingdom. And they'll debate with you. They'll argue with you, saying we ought to exercise our right to vote. What's your vote? Who are you voting for? You know, I'm at the point like, you know, I put this video here together about 3 different times, and each time it doesn't hit what I'm really feeling, and I can hear in the back of my mind the argumentation. Yet again, as I look at my YouTube videos, I don't get the hits to get the argumentation, and I only get a few individuals. So I'm speaking to a few that are on this narrow road, that have been called to watch, then to communicate to God our Father, to what they observe left and right, with the cares and fears of this world, and the cares and fears of the day, March 2016, is an election. And the debates of which candidate is conservative. As I look at these conservatives, so-called conservative candidates, none speak about a kingdom. None of these are fighting for a kingdom not made with hands. They're fighting for this kingdom. There may have been a time, as I brought out in the beginning of this video, when we should have fought, had the right to do that, but not independent from God, letting Him decide where you would cast your vote or not to cast your vote. Today I am saying to you, you do not want to get involved with this secular and religious world. They are one world, and they have left the conservative view of a kingdom not made with hands. Now, I made this, I've read this about 4 different times and come at it from a different way. I'm at the point, I'm going to end it on this, with this, and let this video come to its conclusion. There's one more part to it. I put this together and I'm saying, Lord, I've been repeating myself. In my Narrow Road series, I brought this out. In the end of the world as we know it, I brought it out. The ultimate intention of God, I brought it out. In the shadow of His power, I bring these facts out. And if you want to really know, if you're on this narrow road, like I'm saying, if you're on this narrow road, you don't really need to hear from me. You should be hearing from your Father. And He'll only confirm what He's been sharing to me. It's not my teachings. I've had my teachings in the past, looking at it from a secular standpoint. Then for a long period of time, I got involved with the religious world, had my views and perspective, my opinions. At some point, I had to become dull and know nothing, and wait to my spirit, and not go with what comes off the top of my head, or how I feel and think of my limited soul. I'd wait to my spirit, and God gives these things. And you'll find those few individuals on YouTube, on the web, and some of these churches that are saying the same thing. and they are coming out, bearing his reproach, and looking forward to a kingdom not made with hands. So, I mean, I'll probably want to remake this again, but I don't think I'll do. I think this is going to be the final cut. There's so much more I could say that I've already said. I'm not going to repeat myself. If you want to know, you've got to get on this narrow road, and not some other religious or secular idea of being on a narrow road according to race, cultures, creed, denominations, gender, and the spirit. The results of a nation that has sold its birthright. This is the results of a nation that sold its birthright. Malachi, chapter 1, verse 4. Esau's descendants in Edom may say, we have been scattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. But the Lord of Heaven's armies replies, they may try to rebuild, but I will demolish them again. Their country will be known as the land of wickedness, and their people will be called the people with whom the Lord is forever angry. Remember, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. Esau sold his birthright, as we remember. The spiritual application for our nation comes in the form of a question. Have we sold out? Have we sold not only our birthright to our forefathers, have we also sold our God-given birthright to what God accomplished for us before the foundation of this nation and the world, to his Son? We departed from the faith, a title deed, a right to even be called a nation under God. The idea of faith is no longer enforced. Its title deed has been torn up and replaced with a contract created in the halls of hell itself. A pact has been made. Hear what God says. This country will be known as the land of wickedness, and the people will be called the people for whom the Lord is forever angry. I found that there are few who see the threat to this nation's constitution, but I've also found something that is far worse, that the eternal title deed, faith, that some of this nation's forefathers had once understood, which God had placed into effect by the slaying of his Son before the foundations of this world and this nation, is no longer accepted in the halls of government or in the minds of those institutions of religion who were commissioned to represent this faith and were to demonstrate it by being pilgrims and strangers and not overstressing a kingdom made with hands, but looking forward to a kingdom that is eternally built by God himself. These have departed from this faith. God has been long-suffering in regard to this matter, but the time has come for their weaning. Persecution brought this called out assembly together, and it will be persecution that once again will call her out. It does not have to be this way. You decide. Let him who have wisdom think on what I said.